Hello, hello. Welcome back to the Learning Lab, the place where we talk about language, learning, and all the confusing, funny, beautiful things that happen in between. I am James, and as always, I am so happy to be here with you today.
And I'm Jenny. Hi, everyone. We are really glad you're here with us today, seriously. Whether you're listening on YouTube, on a podcast app, on your phone while you're cooking dinner, or sitting on a bus, welcome. We made this episode for you.
We really did. And before we jump in, we just want to say, if you are new here, please subscribe, hit that bell button, follow the show, do all the things. It really helps us so much, and it means more people can find us. And honestly, we just love having more people in this little community we are building together. It makes me so happy every time I see a new subscriber.
It really does. Okay, James, let's get into today's topic because I have been thinking about this all week, and I could not stop thinking about it, actually.
Same. I have been thinking about it since we decided on the topic. Okay, so today we are talking about something that so many English learners feel, like a huge number of people. And the feeling is this. You watch English videos, you read English posts, you listen to English songs, you understand almost everything, but then the moment someone asks you to speak, nothing comes out. Your brain just goes blank.
Empty, complete silence in your head.
Yes, like someone turned off all the lights inside your brain, and you're standing there with your mouth open going, And in your head you are screaming because you know what you want to say, you just cannot get the words out.
This is one of the most common things that English learners talk about. And honestly, it is one of the most frustrating too. You spend months, sometimes years, studying. You do grammar exercises, you watch shows in English, you read articles, and then someone speaks to you and you just freeze.
Completely freeze. And the worst part is when the other person is patient and they wait for you and you can see them waiting, and that makes it even harder to speak. Like the pressure just builds and builds.
Oh, absolutely. The longer the silence, the harder it gets.
It's like, okay, I have an analogy. You know when you try to remember a word and someone says, just take your time, don't rush, and then you immediately forget the word completely? It's exactly like that.
That is exactly what happens. Okay, so let's talk about why this happens, because I think understanding the reason actually helps a lot. Like, when you understand why something happens, it feels less scary somehow.
Yes, totally agree. So, Jenny, break it down for us. Why does this happen? Why can someone understand English perfectly, but then not be able to speak it?
Okay, so there are actually a few different reasons, and they all work together to create this problem. The first one, and this might surprise some people, is that listening and speaking are actually different skills. Like your brain uses different parts, different processes. When you listen, you're receiving information. When you speak, you have to produce it. And producing is much, much harder than receiving.
Oh, wow. Say that again, because I want people to really hear that.
Listening is receiving, speaking is producing, and producing is harder. Think about it like this. Reading a recipe and cooking a meal. You can read the recipe and understand it completely. Every single step makes sense. But then, when you're actually standing in the kitchen with the pan and the vegetables and the fire, everything is more difficult than it looked on paper.
Oh my gosh, that is such a good example. Because reading the recipe, easy. Understanding what to do, easy. But actually doing it, my kitchen looks like a disaster zone every single time.
Okay, same, honestly. But yes, that's what happens with language too. You can understand English because you've trained your brain to receive it, but your speaking muscles, your speaking brain, hasn't had as much practice.
Right. And I think a lot of learners don't realize that. They think, I study English every day, so why can't I speak? But they're spending all their study time reading and listening and almost no time actually speaking out loud. So your brain gets very good at understanding, but it never gets practice at producing.
Exactly, and there's actually a name for this in language learning research. It's called passive knowledge versus active knowledge. Passive knowledge is everything you can understand. Active knowledge is everything you can actually use and produce.
Whoa, I love that. Passive versus active. So a lot of learners have a huge passive vocabulary. They know thousands of words when they hear them or read them, but their active vocabulary, the words they can actually pull out and use when they speak, is much smaller.
Much smaller, yes, and that gap, that difference between the two, is the root of this problem. You understand so much, but when it's time to speak, you can only access a small part of what you know.
Okay, but here's a question I have, and I feel like a lot of our listeners might be thinking this too. Is this just a problem with vocabulary? Like, is it just that people don't know enough words to speak?
That's a really good question, and the honest answer is not really, because most people who have this problem actually know enough words to have a basic conversation. The problem isn't the words, the problem is speed and nerves and habit.
Ooh, say more about speed.
So when you speak, you don't have time to think. You can't pause and check your grammar. You can't look up a word. You have to produce language in real time, which is incredibly fast. And if your brain isn't used to that speed, if you've only ever practiced slowly, reading and rereading, then speaking in real time feels impossible.
It's like the difference between, okay, here's my analogy. Playing a video game on easy mode versus suddenly playing it on the hardest difficulty. You know the game, you know the controls, but everything is moving so fast and there's so much happening at once that you just, boom, you fall apart.
That's actually a very good analogy.
Thank you. I'm proud of that one.
And then the nerves part, which I think is maybe even bigger than the speed part for a lot of people, is that speaking English in front of a real person feels very scary. You're worried about making mistakes, you're worried about sounding funny, you're worried about what the other person thinks, and all of that worry uses up brain power that you need for speaking.
Yes. Oh my gosh, the fear of making mistakes. This one is so real. I remember when I was learning Spanish, and I'm still not great at Spanish, let's be honest, but there was a time I went to a coffee shop and I wanted to order something and I knew how to order in Spanish. I had practiced it so many times, but the moment I opened my mouth to the real person behind the counter, I just switched back to English immediately. Like my brain said, nope, too risky, use English.
Your brain betrayed you.
Completely betrayed me. And the sad thing is, I knew the words, I had practiced them, but the fear was bigger than the practice.
And this is something that researchers call speaking anxiety, and it is incredibly common among language learners. It is not a sign that you are bad at English. It is not a sign that you are not smart. It is just your brain trying to protect you from feeling embarrassed. Your brain thinks, if I don't speak, I can't make a mistake. If I can't make a mistake, nobody will judge me, which is, protective but not helpful.
Very protective, not helpful at all. Your brain is like an overprotective parent. Don't go outside, you might fall. Don't speak English, you might say something wrong. And you're just standing there like, I just want to order a coffee, brain, come down.
Exactly. Okay, so we have talked about why this happens. Let us talk about what you can actually do about it, because I know that is what people want to hear.
Yes, give us the solutions. What do we do?
Okay, so the first thing, and this is very important, is that you need to start speaking more. I know that sounds very simple and maybe a little frustrating to hear, but the only way to get better at speaking is to actually speak. Your brain needs practice producing language, not just receiving it.
And I want to say, you do not have to start by speaking to real people. That is too scary for a lot of people, and that is totally okay. You can start by speaking to yourself. Seriously, talk to yourself in English when you're walking around your house. When you're cooking, describe what you are doing in English. When you look out the window, say out loud in English what you see. Oh, it's a nice day today. I can see some clouds. I think it might rain later.
This sounds a little funny, but it actually works really well. You're training your brain to produce language, to move from thought to words quickly, without the pressure of another person listening. And every time you do it, it gets a little easier.
It's like going to the gym, honestly. The first time is hard. The second time is still hard. But slowly, your muscles get stronger, your brain gets faster, and one day you open your mouth, speak English, and the words just come out. And you're like, wait, that was easy?
Exactly. And another thing that really helps, and this one comes from a lot of research, is called output practice. This means any activity where you are producing English, not just consuming it. So writing, speaking, recording yourself, singing along to English songs, shadowing.
Oh, can we talk about shadowing? Because I think a lot of people have not heard of this, and it is so good.
Yes, please explain it.
Okay, so shadowing is when you listen to someone speak English in a video, a podcast, a movie, and you speak along with them at the same time. You try to copy their voice, their speed, their rhythm, everything. You're like a shadow following them. And it feels very strange at first because you're basically talking over someone. But it's incredible for your speaking because you're practicing the speed of real speech, the rhythm of real English, and your mouth is getting used to making those sounds quickly.
And the research on shadowing is actually really strong. It helps with pronunciation, fluency, rhythm, all of it. And the best part is you don't have to think about what to say. The words are already there. You just have to make your mouth move and keep up.
It removes the hardest part, which is thinking of words and speaking at the same time. You only have to focus on speaking.
Right. And then building on that, there's something I want to say about mistakes because I think this is really important. Most learners are terrified of making mistakes when they speak, but mistakes are not the enemy. Mistakes are actually how your brain learns.
Can I tell a story about this?
Please.
Okay, so I have a friend, right? And she moved to an English-speaking country about 2 years ago. And for the first few months, she said almost nothing. She was so scared of making mistakes. She would go to stores and just point at things, just silently pointing like, I want that one. And her English was not getting better at all because she wasn't practicing.
Yeah.
And then one day she decided, you know what? I don't care anymore. I'm going to make mistakes and that's okay. And she started just talking, making mistakes everywhere. Wrong grammar, wrong words, weird pronunciation, all of it. And you know what happened?
Her English got so much better.
Her English got so much better. In like 3 months, she was having full conversations because her brain was finally getting the practice it needed. The mistakes weren't the problem. The fear of mistakes was the problem.
That's such a good story, and I think the message there is so important. Every mistake you make when speaking is actually a small lesson. Your brain notices it, adjusts, and gets a little better. But if you never speak because you're afraid of mistakes, your brain has nothing to learn from.
You can't learn to swim by standing next to the pool reading about swimming. At some point, you gotta get in the water.
Perfect. Okay, let's also talk about something very specific that a lot of people do, which actually makes this problem worse, not better, and that is over-preparing to speak.
Oh yes. Say more.
So some learners, and this comes from a good place, they really want to do well. They prepare so much before speaking that they basically write a full script in their head. They think of every possible sentence, every word, every grammar structure, and then when the conversation goes in a different direction, which conversations always do, they completely fall apart because their script doesn't work anymore.
I mean, how do I put this? I've definitely done this. You rehearse the exact conversation you think is going to happen, and then the person says something unexpected, and you're just like, that was not in the script.
Exactly. And the problem with over-preparing is that it actually makes you more nervous, not less, because now you have something to lose. You have your perfect script, and if it goes wrong, you feel like you failed.
So what should people do instead?
Instead of preparing specific sentences, prepare ideas. Think about what topic you might talk about and think about 2 or 3 simple things you could say about that topic. Keep it loose, keep it flexible, and practice handling surprises. Practice conversations that go in unexpected ways.
Yes, and honestly, one of the best ways to do that is to find a conversation partner, someone you can practice with regularly where there's no pressure, no test, no grade, just 2 people talking in English.
Yes, conversation partners are amazing, and you do not have to find a native speaker either. In fact, a lot of research shows that talking with other learners can be just as good, or even better, because you are both making mistakes, both figuring things out together, and there's less pressure.
Less pressure is huge, and if you can't find a conversation partner right now, there are apps. There are language exchange apps, there are online groups, there are communities on YouTube, hello like ours, where you can connect with other learners.
And honestly, even starting in the comments section, writing a few sentences in English, responding to someone, is a form of output practice. It's a step toward speaking.
Oh, that is such a good point. And speaking of the comments, we would love to hear from you. Tell us, do you have this problem? Do you understand English but freeze when you try to speak? Tell us your story in the comments because I guarantee someone else reading it will feel less alone.
Absolutely, and we read every single comment, genuinely. We love hearing from you.
We do. Okay, Jenny, I want to do a quick summary because I feel like we have covered a lot today and I want people to walk away with something really clear and useful.
Great idea. Go for it.
Okay, so why do you understand English but cannot speak it? Number 1, listening and speaking are different skills, and most learners practice listening way more than speaking. Number 2, your passive knowledge, what you understand, is much bigger than your active knowledge, what you can produce. Number 3, speaking in real time is fast and scary, and your brain needs practice at that speed. Number 4, speaking anxiety is real and very common, and it uses a brain power that you need for speaking. And number 5, fear of mistakes is often the biggest thing stopping people from speaking.
And what can you do about it? Start speaking more, even to yourself. Try shadowing, do output practice, write, record, sing, talk. Find a conversation partner. Make mistakes on purpose and learn from them, and stop over-preparing perfect scripts.
Perfectly said. See, Jenny, we did not even need a script for that.
Okay, but genuinely, I want to say one more thing to anyone who is listening to this and feels frustrated with their speaking. I want you to hear this clearly. The fact that you understand English is huge. That is not nothing. That is actually a massive achievement. Most people who are learning a new language never even get to the point where they can understand it well. You are already there. The speaking will come. It takes practice, it takes courage, it takes time, but it will come.
I love that so much, and I just want to add, be patient with yourself. Learning a language is one of the hardest things a human brain can do. Seriously, scientists say that. It takes years, and every single step forward matters, even when it feels small. Every word you say in English, even if it's just hello, is a step forward.
Yes, absolutely. Every step counts.
Okay, before we go, please subscribe to the Learning Lab if you haven't already. On YouTube, click that subscribe button and the bell so you get notified every time we put out a new episode. On podcasts, follow us on whatever app you're using. It's completely free and it really helps us keep making content for you.
And share this episode with someone who needs it. If you know someone who says, I understand English, but I cannot speak, send this to them. Seriously, it might be exactly what they need to hear today.
Yes, share the love, share the knowledge. That's what the Learning Lab is all about.
Thank you so much for spending this time with us today. We really appreciate every single one of you.
And we'll see you, or, well, hear you, in the next episode. Bye, everyone.
Bye.